Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm making a really, this isn't gonna be, I was like, my back needs some support. I'm getting old. But today I really wanted to make like a serious video for you guys. I recently just saw the Jeffrey Dahmer docu-series, the 10-part series on Netflix, and I really want to say that it really disturbed me, honestly speaking. And I just kind of want to discuss that with you guys and break down what I saw, what I feel, and really convey that to you guys. And also share like similar experiences that I had that could have honestly went the same way, some of these men lost their lives. So we're just gonna do like a little breakdown video of this whole thing and this whole series and just the whole situation because like yes it's getting a lot of attention, and I think because I related to this a lot, I was like, why not just make something that, because everybody's talking about it and we're all having a discussion. So I kind of wanted to jump in that discussion with you guys. So I took down my notes on my laptop. It's not a lot, but I took down what I wanted to say. So first, I really just wanted to, let's talk about the victims first before we get to any of that. And I'm gonna probably just grab my laptop. I might have my laptop right here. I don't know, we're doing a thing, I don't know. So we're just gonna I'm just gonna break down everybody. So June 18th, 1978, Stephen Hicks, he died at 18. November 20th of 1987, Stephen Toomey, he was 24. January 16th, 1987, Jamie Doxteter, he was 14. March 24, 1988, Richard Guerrero, 25. March 25th, 1989, Anthony Sears, 26. May 20th, 1990, Raymond Smith. June 1990, Edward W. Smith, 28. Raymond was 33. September 1990, Ernest Miller, 22. September 24th, 1990, David C. Thomas, 23. February 18th, 1991, Curtis Straughter, 18. April 7th, 1991, Errol Lindsay, 19. May 24th, 1991, Anthony Tony Hughes. May 27th, 1991, Conrad Synthosophone, 14. June 30th, 1991, Matt Turner, 20. June 5th, 1991, Jeremiah Weinberger, 23. June 15th, 1991, Oliver Lacey, 23. June 19th, 1991, Joseph Bradoff, 25. So those are all 17 of his victims that unfortunately had to succumb to his sick, twisted ways. It honestly is kind of disturbing to even talk about. I don't know if I can really look directly in the camera, but I just wanted to break this video down and get it over with because there's just so much. So Jeffrey was born in 1960. He died in 1994 of November. He was killed by Christopher Scarver, who was sentenced to 1 life sentence for killing somebody, but he has 3 now because he killed some other dude that killed his wife, murdered his wife, and then he killed Jeffrey. Which killers killing killers, but I'm glad it happened because honestly, people like this just don't need to exist. But it's still sad. We can't erase the 17 people that are not here anymore because more than likely most of these people would have been alive. They were young 20, some teens, 20s, early 30s. Most of these people would have been in their 50s, early 40s, 50s, 60s. These people would have still been alive, breathing, living their life still. I'm saying? It's so crazy how these people got their lives taken away from them. But this is just a lot to take in. But the first thing I really wanted to talk about to break down and just talk about was just the blatant racism and just how much of a struggle that Glenda Cleveland had to go through. Because Glenda Cleveland in the series, they portrayed her as somebody who lived directly next to Dahmer. She did not. She lived in a building next to him. So they were in separate buildings. The neighbor that lived closer to Jeffrey in the same apartment was Pamela Bass. So she lived a few doors down, if I'm not mistaken, or like, like same. Y'all get what I'm saying. But like Pamela lived more in proximity to Jeffrey than Glenda Cleveland. So what I did like about the show, it is dramatized, so it's supposed to really like invoke a lot of emotions from you, but some things from the series will not be like, it's not going to mirror every single situation that happened throughout the Jeffrey Dahmer murders and all this, just all the nuances. There's just a lot of things that aren't consecutive to what actually happened, but it is accurate to what happened, though, to give you an idea of what you need to do, what you need to look out for, especially as like gay men. I'm pretty sure that's my audience, but that's kind of really why I wanted to just break this down, because it's just, honestly, even like when I was just watching this, I was just cringing so many times, and I just felt so like my spirit was just really and truly disturbed, y'all. Like I really couldn't explain to you how much it really bothered me. Like this won't leave me for a while, and I always knew about this dude, but I never really dig deep into like the extent of what and how he did it. I think the show really highlighted that, and honestly, it's hard. It's really hard to just know all of this information. I don't know how these true crime people do it. Sometimes I find it kind of obnoxious when I see a lot of like true crime YouTubers or like the TikTokers, and they're like, 5 facts you didn't know about Jeffrey Dahmer, and their stupid ass faces in the fucking first 5 seconds of the video. I'm like, why do you need to post that? Like, people literally do anything for clout, and it's just, that's another thing I feel like this generation got like really fucked up, because it's like people actually died. Like, we don't need to glamorize this to the point where we're like, 5 facts you didn't know about Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, if you're gonna do a video, just casually talk about it. I don't know, like, it's just annoying, to be honest, but that's just my opinion. But the first thing I really wanted to highlight was just the racism that was shown in this series, and just how it was the 80s and 90s, so the racism was definitely more rampant back then versus what it is now. And to my, it was Wisconsin, Milwaukee, for the most of the murders were in Milwaukee. Let me just make sure. I don't want to say anything. Yeah, so they were in, most of his murders were in Milwaukee, 12 of them to be exact. And just, from the racism alone, just how the police handled the situation, you kind of see how he was able to really get away with a lot of this shit, because it doesn't make sense for somebody like Glenda to be calling numerous times, hey, actually more than just Glenda, because other people were complaining too, but it was mainly her. But the fact that so many people were complaining and alerting the authorities and nothing was happening is really just, it was shocking. And I think a lot of people they come at the police from the angle of they're just stupid and they're incompetent, and I think there is levels of that are true, but honestly, like, from my perspective, they just didn't care. From what I've seen from the series and from what I've read online, they just did not care. And I think that's just a blatant truth that we, I think most of us accepted, and we seen they just didn't care. They couldn't be bothered. They didn't want to get into it, because as soon as he brought up, oh, it's gay stuff, it's this, is that, they just, okay, they're out. They didn't want to look too deep into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was very much like, ooh, cooties kind of mentality. And it was just like, silence my phone. No, it was just very much, ooh, cooties, ooh, don't touch that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, it really breaks my heart to know that all these people really suffered this way. And it took 17 fucking people. It took one person to escape. One person. It took one person to escape, y'all. Tracy Edwards, as portrayed, I don't know if it's the same guy, but from the first episode of how Jeffrey got caught, the dude escaped. And You know, like, imagine if he did, and let's let that sink in. Imagine how many people would have died if he didn't escape. Because I don't even know how to, like, just imagine, like, let's I don't want to force anybody to think, but imagine how many people, like, because he killed 12 people in an apartment. 12, and it's an apartment, it's not like a house. Because other serial killers, they had their houses set up, they had the whole thing, but this man had an apartment. This man had a slew of people living with him that were aware and that were making noise and complaining, and nothing was done. You know, there's like nuances where, like, there's different locations that makes a difference. This man was in the heart of a fucking city. You're in the city. And it's just like, I don't know, it's mind-blowing to know that this really happened and just how the ball was dropped. But when people don't give a fuck about something, this is exactly what happens. This is exactly what will happen, because even with the situation with Conrad, and you know, the fact that he was able to escape with a hole in his head that this man drilled in his head, poured acid into it, and escaped, the police authorities were able to be notified, and they bought the story. Oh, that's my boyfriend, and that's my lover, and we're just fighting, and da da da. Let me just bring him back, and they didn't. It's just it's just very concerning, the mentality back then. But I am glad that we are moving forward as a society. I'm hoping that we are getting better, but we still have a long ways to go in terms of racism. And it's, you know, you always got to give the side eye to a lot of these people, because you never really know what people are thinking and how they handle a lot of situations. Because he was 14. Like, you could literally look at a kid and be like, that's a 14-year-old. Like, how do you not check ID? How do you not check identification? How do you not see that he's bleeding from his head, which was reported? He's bleeding, like you're bleeding from your head. That's a critical injury. It's not like, oh, it's a little bit of blood. Like he's bleeding. How do you not even say, okay, let's take this little boy to the hospital, let's get him looked at, and then maybe we'll bring him back? How do you guys do none of that? Because they didn't care. They didn't want to care. And because they didn't care, he ended up dying. Now, another thing I wanted to point out with that specific thing, because when I watched that episode, it also annoyed me because his brother was also molested by Jeffrey Dahmer. So I just don't know what possessed him to even go back there. But then also, this is dramatized because I'm mixing the series up with real life. This is what I don't like about the dramatization, because from my understanding, during the court hearing when Jeffrey was being convicted of the molestation, the family wasn't even there. And let me just look it up. I'm gonna do a lot of let me just look it up, because I took my notes, but there's just certain things that. Okay, so I found the Reddit that I got information from, so I will leave the link in my bio. And if I can find the interview that someone was talking about, I will try to leave that as well. Because some things just didn't seem too accurate, and I did not like that part, because it kind of made Conrad look really dumb, because, like, who would go to their family abuser? You know what I'm saying? It just didn't make sense. So
the Centosom phone family watched today's news conferences and listened to the police audio tape on TV.
They should have checked him out, you know, or arrest. I mean, I think it's automatically they should arrest my brother, because he was naked on the public.
Police say they thought the 14-year-old boy, Konarak, was 19. That's what Dahmer told them. Anacone, Konarak's brother, says police should have taken Konarak into custody anyway for indecent exposure. Then they would have learned the truth. I also asked Anacone why would Konarak go anywhere near Dahmer, since Dahmer had already been convicted of sexual assault against another family youth. You don't think that your brother might have known that he was the man who had sexually assaulted your other brothers?
No, we didn't even know his name.
Oh, you didn't know his name?
We didn't even know his name, what his name and what he looked like. We didn't even know since it happened the first time.
Didn't know where he lived?
No.
Anacone said he did not know Konarak to drink or smoke, so it was not like him to be intoxicated. The Centosom phone family says they're having a hard time accepting police explanations of why they released Konarak back to Dahmer. Mike Anderson, Channel 12 News,
To
Milwaukee.
me, I can see no purpose in it except to inflame the people down there who...
Okay, I gotta go dig deeper for that one, but to my knowledge, the family was not notified of the court hearing, and they weren't even there to like testify against him. So, but I will leave notes if I do miss that point and if it's not accurate, because I want to make sure everything in this video is accurate and what I'm saying, because this is the dramatization will mix up a lot of different parts of the thing that happened. But my point was, I think that knowing what happened, knowing that he knew what happened to his brother, and then you go into a similar situation. So I feel like the people who are gonna have kids or have little siblings or that, we have to like really teach the people that may not be as knowing or as wise as we may be, because we have lived longer, we've experienced more, not to make the same mistakes that we have, and we just live to tell it, you know what I'm saying? Because something like that could have been so much avoided. It's like, you know, the claim was in the show, like, oh, they were hurting, the family was hurting for money and all that stuff. And you know, there's a lot of nuances to that, but ain't no way I'm gonna go to nobody's house. But then again, like, the times are different, and we just have to like remember that. So I'm gonna leave that one alone for now. I think when it comes to just the way like the whole situation was handled, because it's like, even the police not checking, you know, when they at the time they could have checked his records. They could have ran his records to see like, hey, what does this guy have on him? Hey, let's call up the station. Let's see if he has, because he had a child molestation, you know, he had an assault charge on him. You know, he went to court, went to jail, I think for a week. You know, did 1 year prison or whatever. He did something for a year, but he had something on his record to say, hey, like, this person has some shady traits about him. He has a criminal record. So the fact that they didn't even check that was just disturbing enough. Just like, there's a lot of, this was like a whole group project when it came to Dahmer. This wasn't just him. This was just society that really was able to like let this happen, because he was not the smartest of killers. Let's keep it real. I don't think he was even trying to be. I think he didn't care as well. I think for the most part he was pretty nonchalant. I think his whole attitude, you know, when you watch the interviews, like he admitted to everything. Like he didn't really give like mastermind killer. He just gave like, I'm just trying to do a thing. You know what I'm saying? So on that point alone, I'm just glad that we do live in a time where we have more information and that we are more aware of things like this, and that we are more, I don't know, just we have more insight so we can make better decisions, because honestly shit like this is just so crazy. It really is. It really is. But and even, you know, the fact that eyebrows weren't really being raised, like, you know, people are being missing, especially from the period of 1990 to 1991. Now, granted, he did get caught in 1991, but just the period, right? Within a 2-year period, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people. 12. So those are all in his apartment. And just, you know, like within a 2-year period, 12 people went missing in Milwaukee. Are there no eyebrows being raised? And you know, granted, yes, the times were different, because back then you could pack up your bag and leave town and then be a completely different person and nobody's gonna bat an eye. So, you know, these are one of those nuances that also made it possible. It was just a wrong time, wrong place, wrong time, honestly, for a lot of these things, because it was just the luck of the draw. Because if Jeffrey Dahmer existed in 2022 and he was doing what he was doing now, it would be so much harder for him to accumulate 17 bodies. It really would. It wouldn't even make sense for 17. After like the first or second one, eyebrows are starting being raised. You know what I'm saying? The DNA evidence is starting to come out. The cameras are going to be starting to come out. Like, you know what I'm saying? That, like, when a crime happens in 2022, like, the police have so much more information. Granted, sometimes they still don't do their job properly. God, jeez. But the information is there to make their jobs easier, and the detectives' jobs easier, FBI jobs easier, so that these things aren't prolonged for as long as they need to be. So I am glad that we do live in a time where it's like these things are still possible. Let's not forget that. But just the time, just the extent of what they can happen, it's different. It just like this for me, like it is possible, but it's just not. It's just harder to like accomplish. It just really is. But timing and place. I live in Long Island, suburbs. So it's different. I don't live in like rural upstate New York or like in Mississippi in West Bubble Free. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't live somewhere where it's like harder to it's easier to pull off. But even places where it's like rural and stuff, there's still evidence. There's still things that people could do to make something like this not get to 17 people. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know. It's just a lot to really take in. But also, the other thing I really wanted to break down was the homophobia. Because even with that, and, bringing us back to the police, but also bringing us back to the people and the families too. Because what I've noticed, and honestly, I really wanted to ask like my mom this, and maybe I'll ask her when she comes in. I don't know, like I'll see what she says. But we don't really talk about like, I don't talk about my personal life with my mom or nothing like that. But I really wanted to ask her, like, if you haven't seen me in X amount of days, like, what would you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, because we've definitely had disagreements about how I live my life, X, Y, and Z. I think some of us might have similar things like that to deal with our parents. But I really wanted to wonder, like, what is like the time frame of me if I went to disappear and live my life somewhere else? When would the concerns start to ring in? Like, where is he? Where did he go? Where's your child? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the concern levels? Because I feel like with the homophobia back then, it's like, when a lot of times family find out they have a gay child, and the craziest thing is some of these kids or people, these men, let's just say men, and kids too, because some are young, some weren't even gay. So it's hard to really wrap your head around, especially the missing factor of like how when a family is concerned about their loved one and when they just go missing, you know what I'm saying? So that's just hard. But like the homophobia part is, a lot of these men were, and the fact that a lot of them were minorities too, so you can expect minorities to be a little bit more conservative, especially with religion and all of these things. So back then, especially like if you found out your child was gay, especially like if you ever seen Pose or nothing like that, like the first episode, was it the first episode, like the boy got kicked out, his family kicked him out, and he's having this argument with his mom, and she's like, well, if you're gonna be like that, you need to leave. And he just left and went on his business, and that was it. And who knows how long it took for them to contact them to get back. You know what I'm saying? It's not like people had cell phones. Hey, that's his number. You call it a house phone, or if not a landline. So it's the contact level is even hard too. Because imagine like now where you have cell phones, if depending on the person, like let's say if you call somebody and they always answer their phone, and let's say you have a friend or family member and they just mysteriously stop answering, and then you call like every day, 2 days, 3 days, you're not getting an answer, you're texting, no response, your alarms are going to start ringing. So I think back then, like you wouldn't know somebody's missing within days. You wouldn't probably know within weeks, because depending on the situation of the family situation, it's hard to really decipher whether or not, you know what I'm saying? It's hard for like the family to contact somebody when they leave in certain abrasive ways. It's like, or if the person that got kicked out and they left home or they ran away, because one of the kids ran away, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Jamie. He ran away from home, and that's how he ended up getting caught. and killed. You know, people running away, people leaving, people, for whatever reason, they have family disagreements about their lives. Y'all know I'm getting at. And the family doesn't really contact them back or within a certain time or try to reach out to them, because contacting people back then was, getting into contact with people was real hard. People's circles were way smaller because it was just hard to do. You know what I'm saying? Like the internet and having cell phones and all these things brought a different wave of communication that just was not available back then. So when people were homophobic and, you know, anti-gay, or they didn't agree with their child's life and stuff like that, and they say, hey, you can't stay here, and the child leaves, which probably was a lot of the cases for some of these people. And, you know, these people probably are estranged from their families and things like that. You know, when people go missing, it's hard to really say, oh, person X is missing. And, you know, the reports wouldn't come in as quick as they should be. I don't know how long and wordy I made that. But y'all get what I was trying to say. Like, so when people go missing, and the fact that he's killing all these people and they're just this certain demographic, it was just the perfect storm for how this thing could have gotten out of control so fast. Literally within 2 years, 12 people. That's crazy. But, you know, it's just a part of history that we just have to deal with now. And just another part of the movie that actually irked me was, not the movie, but like the series or whatever, that irked me was, there was a scene with the Reverend, and I think he had like an advisor or something. I don't know. Somebody was talking to that wasn't close in his circle. And he was saying, well, I don't think this is our fight. These are all gay guys. And, you know, this isn't something we should be aligning ourselves with. And, you know, the Reverend was like, whether or not they're gay or not, this is still our battle, because you got to fight the dragon from all angles. Which is so true, because this wouldn't have gotten out of control the way it was, the way it did, because of the racism. Simply as that. So you can't ignore these people's death or forget about them, go, oh, well, you know, they're not our fight. And that irked me so much, because a lot of people still feel that way. And it's like, people don't understand. It's like, you can't, you know, everybody want to act like their struggle is different from everybody else's struggle. But in reality, we're all struggling. We're all going through things. We're all fighting demons. Every day's the battle. So why not fight that battle together? Why not move together as one? Why not communicate? Why not be able to set aside our differences to really learn how to live amongst each other? Why say, oh, well, that's not my problem, I don't have to deal with it? But then when you have a problem, you want people to help you. You want people to help you figure it out. Because honestly, a lot of times things are hard, and it's better when we don't have to do it alone, and we have people to help us move things along. So I feel like that just irritated me hearing that. But that was a lot of people's mentality back then, and it really took a lot of things for people to change their mentalities, and we still have to fight that mentality, because people like to pick and choose their battles. And realistically, you know, a lot of these things, this is when we have to come together and realize that, you know, you're not a lot different from me, and I'm not a lot different from you. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that we're gonna have to learn to get past, and something that we're gonna have to learn to really just you know, accept ourselves, and just learn to just shut the fuck up and listen to other people talk. I think that's another thing that I really wanted to emphasize on, because sometimes I feel like we always want to be right sometimes. And I say we as in like the humans as a collective. Like, we always want to be right about everything. We always want to be correct about every single thing that we experience. And realistically speaking, we all have things that we are right about. Nobody's completely right. Nobody's completely wrong. So we have to remember that, and remember that we have to listen to each other and listen to what other people are saying, and really take in the information and process it. And I think a lot of times people don't do that. Everybody just want to be right all the time. Everybody feel like they have the best points to make. Yes, sometimes we do. You know, sometimes you are completely in the right and X, Y, and Z. But we have to really be able to keep the mentality of just using our ears too. It's not just speaking. We have to listen. We have to listen from where other people are coming from, so that we could do better as a society, because it's one person didn't create this. As a society, we created this. So that was just like a little point on that. But and then there's just things that I really want to talk about specifically with Jeffrey, that honestly just like really kind of just trying to understand the sick person. Because even like when I looked at the Polaroids, it was just so dark. And just hold on, I'm check if this is still recording. It's still recording. Okay. And just like what even made all of this possible, of like this sick person to really be able to accomplish all of this. You know, it's really hard to like process it from all angles. But there was definitely certain nuances that was able to like just leverage him in this situation. Because, you know, like people saying he's like, I think he's calculated, yes, but also I just think it was just time and place. You know, he's in a minority neighborhood. That's what he can afford. He can't really keep a decent job. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he's just doing what he can. And then the people around him is just what he was able to just find, which is mostly minorities. But there's just, you know, things that we really wanted to, well, I wanted to discuss with you guys, was definitely the trust level back then. It's so crazy. I feel like it's such a 180, like from the 80s to from the 80s to 90s to now, like the 2020s. It's such a night and day difference. Because I even remember when I lived in Jamaica, right? I lived there for 10 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like my mom was never like strict with me, like going to my cousins or like me hanging out with my friends or stuff like that. Granted, you know, there's times I had to go do my homework and stay home, and, you know, she tell me to go read a book. If I'm like, can I go play with my friends, da da da, she's like, go read a book, da da da. You know what I'm saying? You know how Jamaican parents be. But there wasn't like a time where, because there's a lot of violence in Jamaica, but you know what I'm saying? It's just, people were outside. People were outside. And I came to this country 2006. People were outside. People partied outside. People weren't as people didn't keep to themselves as much as they do to what up here. Because I went to my friend's house. I was with my cousins. I'm this, there, I'm that. I'm down the road, up the road, da da da. People didn't care. Because like we had, you know, there's problems, there's violence, but like we never had, like, there's not a lot of sick people like that in Jamaica. There's a lot of violence, there is, but I feel like the sick people to the extent of like comparing, like, let's say like a gangster or like a Don, they might live in like these third world countries versus like a mass serial killer. Because these people are similar, because Dons call out hits, Dons do murders, you know what I'm saying? Like they have just as many bodies, but it's just I think the level of the sadistic levels are just, they're similar but different at the same time, because these people do exist in the same bubbles, but also different layers, if that makes sense. Because we do have a lot of gang violence in Jamaica. We have people that probably kill a lot of people just as much as Jeffrey Dahmer has, but I feel like the difference is just both as inhumane, but also just different contexts. Like, you know, gangs having wars, gangs doing stupid shit to like prevail dominance, versus like one person just going out his way to just do the most and just oh god, just like mutilate fucking y'all get what I'm saying. Please, I hope y'all do. But what I'm saying is, like, now, like, people stay inside more. People don't go out as much. Like, people go out, but like I don't see kids running up and down the street like they used to. I don't really see kids on the bikes like that. I don't see kids, you know, at the playground like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and yes, there's the internet that's really changed all that, and people are more into like video games and stuff like that, and Facebook and Instagram and all these things. But like it's night and day. Like, people now are more keep to themselves. And situations like this are why people are scared. People are afraid. Like, you don't know who you can trust nowadays. Back then, people trusted anyone. Even in like the episode where he picked up the hitchhiker, and hitchhiker was like, "Oh, I got a concert to go to an hour away. Like, you going that way?" What? You think anybody in their right mind would do that in 2022? You would have to be severely desperate, severely, to even to try. Like, bitch, I will take the bus. I will collect quarters off the floor to catch a bus ride somewhere. I don't know. I will do whatever I can to versus hitch a ride with a damn stranger that I don't know from nowhere. And most people have the same mentality now. Back then they didn't. So just being in that time period, it was just so much easier to get away with a lot of the shit. It's just so much. There was less information about predators, and you know what I'm saying, people knew about Gacy and Bundy, but it was just like, you know, now like people, it's like we dramatize these series, we exploit these, you know, we exploit these events that happen, and you know what I'm saying, like the families are constantly re-traumatized. We constantly have to put these people that lost their loved ones through so much each time, and Netflix didn't compensate these people for nothing. A lot of them found out about the series when we found out. So, you know, a lot of things just didn't really sit right with a lot of this. But social awareness definitely also played a part, because, you know what I'm saying, like people weren't really aware of certain things back then. They just weren't. And that also goes back to the back and forth of the trust thing, because, you know, if I'm going to somebody's house, your house stinks like really bad, I'm not staying. I'm sorry. If you got house got a strong smell that I cannot bear, I'm gonna say, sorry man, I can't stay, I gotta go. But like I said, like people don't always put two and two together. And sometimes we have to really learn. Like some people learn from experiences, like, and it's tough. So sometimes that might be, you know, a lot of these men, it was their first experience dealing with something crazy like that. So imagine going through that, somebody's killing you, and you know, like how do you react to that when you're completely blindsided? You get drugged, and you know, it's even hard for you to fight back. You know, your body's inebriated. You know what I'm saying? You're under the influence of things. You can't properly, coherently think. So it's just really tough to process. And just the mental health issues back then, like it wasn't, you know, now it's like we're so much aware of like depression and anxiety and like ADHD and OCD and all these things, and you know, we know so much more about things that affect people and how they make people feel. So we're just more informed as a society. And you know, I'm glad I live in this time period. You know, could it be better? Yes, but I'd rather live in this one than that one, I can tell you that for sure. But I think that was kind of like my whole breakdown. I don't know if I made all the points I wanted to make, but I think I kind of hit the nail on the head with what I really wanted to say with a lot of these things that happen. But I just want to like throw in some side notes, because I also have like my personal little anecdote story that I want to throw in with you guys that happened to me, and I kind of felt like if this was any other scenario, I probably wouldn't even be here making this video. You know, just out of the luck of the draw. But even with like the photography of like his victims, because something possessed me to look that shit up, and I did. I saw a few pictures. Oh god, they were so gruesome. They were so dark. Like there's like, and you could see it in like the first episode, like the police go through like 2-3 pictures. There's like one where the dude's ribcage is like cut open, and his skin's like, I'm not even gonna give you guys too much like visual details if you're not like ready to hear about that part. But honestly, like if you're not really, if you're in like a dark place, or you're not comfortable with a lot of these things, or you're just not in the right mindset, don't watch this. You don't have to put yourself through that. Like, you know enough to, like, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to really partake in like the information that it's in the series. And to be honest, I feel like for the series, it was pretty tame. Like, it was definitely dark, disturbing, but I feel like in terms of the gore, it wasn't like too much. It didn't. It left a lot to the imagination, which I appreciated because I didn't really want to just visually see him cutting people up and going through their bodies and him melting them. Like, it just left it to the imagination. It was very, Ryan Murphy did a good job at directing, and so did Evan Peters at playing Jeffrey, and so did all the actors, AC Nash and all of them. I think everybody did a great job in portraying this series and really shedding a light on this. But like, can we not keep making series about this man? Like, there's like so many other series about him. Can we leave it alone for now? Can we let the time pass? Can we let this settle? Because a lot of these people didn't get their closure. And the last thing I really want to talk about before I get into my personal story was there was a fight between the two parents. And, the mom wanted them to research the brain to see if they could find anything of what made him the way he was. And the father didn't, because he wanted to respect Jeffrey's wishes and he wanted to be cremated, every single part of him. And, granted, a lot of people shit on the father. I don't want to necessarily shit on the father because it's just, as a parent, it's already hard to deal with. Imagine hearing that. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, so knowing what your child is and all that, that's already tough to go through. And just the pain and agony that you would have to go through as a parent, just knowing that information, just knowing what something that you brought onto the earth did to society and how it affected, it's just a lot to take in. So I don't really want to like completely just shit on the father for no reason. It's not necessary, because I don't know how he raised them day to day. I don't know, what I'm saying? I don't know what he could have done differently to make him not a serial killer. But in my honest opinion, even without the brain research, which probably would have done a lot, probably would have brought a lot of good information and really helped us, help the public. I think that's the closure the public needed, because the judge was talking about, people need closure, so let's just destroy everything. But if the people knew what this man was doing, I think that would have been the closure, and just helping the public, informing the public of things that they need to do and things that they need to look out for. That would have been a better closure than just destroying the brain, in my opinion. But this was a whole court battle and everything, so, which, ended up in the destruction of the brain. But, like I said, like, it was just a lot to just deal with. But I do feel for the parents, not in like, I'm so sorry for them, but that's a tough situation to be in. And I feel like a lot of us we give a lot of opinions and we say things, and I'm like, I don't know, because most of y'all don't have serial killer children, so like, your reaction and your emotions would be different. Like, you don't know because you never experienced it. And that's kind of what I want. Well, that's kind of why, I brought up what I brought up earlier, because a lot of people don't always listen. We just want to talk. Like, yes, I'm pretty sure he wasn't the best father. Pretty sure they had issues in the family home. Pretty sure there was things like that. But to blame the dad, like let's be real. Like, Jeffrey said it himself. Like, this was all him. What I'm saying? The man admitted to how many people he killed. He gave locations and all that. He was very much active in, giving the information what he needed. He was very good at cooperating with the police and the authorities in terms of like all the people. He kept their IDs. Like, dude was a weirdo. Versus like, let's say like Ted Bundy and like Gacy. Like, Gacy said he only killed like 30-some people, and they're saying he killed more, and so did Bundy. So like, like there's different killers on different spectrums where they're like, I'm not telling you shit. So the fact that he was cooperating and he was, being honest, really, I think it shows like it wasn't really his I don't want to say it was upbringing, because like we have, like, people have shitty upbringings. That doesn't make them want to go out and be serial killers. You know what I'm saying? Like, what life dealt you is what life dealt you, but like, it's what you take with your cards and how you use it. It's how you make the best out of life. But I think I want to talk about this crazy guy for a second, and I kind of want to just throw him a little time. It's like one of my worst hookups ever. I didn't even do anything with this person, but I think I was 21, 24, 22 at the time, and I was working in the Bronx at the time. And funny enough, I was gonna make a video about this specific situation last week, and I did, but since I wanted to watch this case also, I figured I would just make this one video because it all kind of relates to the same thing. And I met this dude off, I think I met him off Jacked. And, you know, he seemed chill in his pictures, and, you know, we exchanged phone numbers. And a few times I called him, and he just sounded so, like, irrational. He had, like, a lot of things going on in the background. I couldn't really hear him. And it was just, he wasn't, like, making a lot of sense sometimes. He just sounded a little bit off. And I didn't really put two and two together. I wasn't really thinking. I was just like, okay, like, sounds like a good time. Like, so I'm just gonna go have fun and live my best life. And I didn't end up meeting him that same day. And I think the next day I went to work. It was more close to the weekend. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's meet up once I got off to work. So we spoke a couple times after the phone. We were texting. And it was just like the conversations was like, it wasn't like coherent. Like, I feel like he wasn't really making sense a lot of times. But like, he was typing really fast. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, something was just a little off about him. Or when I called, it was just a lot of, I don't know, it was just off. Like, I was getting a gut feeling, but like, I didn't like go with my gut. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just not, he was giving irrational, like very weird and irrational behavior from just the phone call, the way he talked, the way he spoke. And so when I finally went to meet him, and this was during the night. I think I got there at like 9 or 10 o'clock. I forgot what time I got there. But when I finally met up with him and I got into his apartment, you know, he was telling me about like somebody that he just stabbed. And then he was having like beef with somebody else, some other people. I don't know if he was in a gang, or I think he was like a drug dealer or something. And, you know, like people he was beefing with, and just other things that he was telling me that was just like kind of getting me a little scared. Like, oh my God, like who am I in this like place with right now? Like, what am I doing? And then he goes to his room, like he's like, give me a second, you know, I gotta do something. And all I hear is, so he just did like a whole line of cocaine. And I just started getting really nervous because I'm just like, who just blatantly does cocaine next to somebody you just met? Like, you don't even know me. And I just got really scared, and I just didn't know what to do. And just like, he kept just telling me all this crazy shit he was doing. And, you know, he kept offering me food and shit. He's like, hey, you want a Pop-Tart? You want a Pop-Tart? You want a Pop-Tart? I'm just like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. You want some water? No, I'm good. And his apartment looked like shit, like mad boxes, mad things everywhere. Like, looked like a hoarder's fucking asshole. And it was just like, I just never felt so uncomfortable in my life. I don't think I've ever felt that much uncomfortable until that moment happened. And I was honestly a little bit mortified to leave because I was just like, he was still on something, not just like cocaine, but like he was on something else. Cause he was calm, but he was also like spaced out and shit. I just didn't know how to describe it. And I was just like, I just was like, I'll just be calm and I'll just, you know, find the right time to leave. I don't know. Cause I felt like if I met him with aggression, like, yo, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Like, you're weird or whatever. Like, if I just try to leave immediately leave, it would have been, I didn't know. I just didn't want to trigger him. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, I really didn't know. I'm just thinking about all the scenarios in my head. And I'm just like, yo, like, if let's say if I say, okay, if I leave, oh, hey, I gotta go, like something happened. He's like, no, don't go yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know what was gonna happen. And I was just so scared. I couldn't leave. I was really like, it was like a deer in headlights. I can't explain it, but I stayed there for like hours, and I was just like laying on the bed next to him, and he was just like, he fell asleep at one point. And I was telling my coworker, like, she was like, why didn't you leave? And I was just like, I don't know, I was just so scared. Like, I was like, what if I like started to leave and like he woke up and was like, why are you going, and tried to attack me? I didn't know, y'all. Like, honestly, like, you know what I'm saying? And I think for me, just like thinking about it, kind of, I feel like just thinking about it and just like watching what I would just watch the last couple of days, it just really made me realize that, you know, we do a lot of stupid shit, especially as men, especially as gay guys. We do a lot of shit, stupid shit. Meeting people with no pictures, meeting in the middle of fucking West Bubble Plug, nowhere to be found. All these places, all these situations that make a perfect storm for killers. Because, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't the only gay killers. There was like 2 more or something like that. There was a few more in the last recent years. Definitely wasn't as many bodies, but it still happened. And it's just the risks that we're willing to take just for some sexual pleasure. It's crazy. And I really think a lot of us need to calm the fuck down and really realize what's going on in this world, because it's not healthy. Because people are talking in the background, but you know what I'm saying. Even just like me thinking about what could have happened with this crazy drugged up man in his apartment. Like, the situation could have went anywhere. He could have attacked me, he could have drugged me, you know what I'm saying. It could have went so many different ways, but thankfully he was just a cokehead, drug dealer, cokehead or something. I don't know what the hell he was, but he, you know, thankfully, you know, he wasn't a violent person towards me. Jeez. But even like the whole night, because I stayed there like the whole night because I was just so mortified to leave. Like, I was in shock the whole time, and I did not sleep. I didn't close my eyes once. I was just like, I just watched him, and I watched him, because God forbid like something pops up or he has like a fucking spaz and tries to attack me, or like, bitch, I had to be ready. So I'm saying, you know, I was just like, stay there, and I just watched him, like. And then once the morning came up, I'm like, oh, sorry, like, I gotta go to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, looking for like a legitimate reason to leave. Oh God, that's crazy. But you know, I'm bringing that up, and I'm really telling that because I had like a few other stories, and maybe I'll leave that in another video. But I'm only bringing this up because I know I'm not the only one that's been in situations like this. I know a lot of us have. We've definitely had like weird people that we've met online or in shady places, and we decided, oh, I'm gonna go meet up with you later on, and I don't even know shit about you. And you know, just through luck, honestly, we just happen to make it home safe. A lot of us, some people don't. Some people don't always go home or make it home. So we really have to start protecting ourselves more. We really have to be more vigilant. Like, you know, even with my like deal men video, like, are they worth it? Ain't no man in the closet worth it. Where if I can't see you, bitch, like, if you're talking to me and we're talking online and I can't see who the fuck you are, I don't want to meet you nowhere. Fight your demons first before you try to talk to me, because you could be anybody. And I had this one guy, this deal guy, he was trying to hit me up, like, this was months ago, but you know, trying to talk to me, and I was like, sir, like, I don't know what you look like. And he's like, well, I'm DL, that's how it goes. I was like, well, you could be on some Ted Bundy shit, so what's up? Oh no, you're bugging, it's not that serious. I'm like, it is that serious. It is. And we take it for granted that we live in a different time period where this doesn't happen as much, but it still happens. Might not as much to men, because we have a lot of missing women that go missing all the time. Women that get stalked, women that get attacked and raped and all these horrible things, you know, targeted. It still happens, y'all. It still happens. You know? The only difference is we have the information now to combat these things and do better and, you know, be more vigilant. But, you know, these things still happen. So I really just want to do my final notes on this video and just say, be careful, be vigilant. And if somebody's giving you a weird vibe, whether in person or online, it's okay to block them. It's okay to never speak to that person again. It's okay to like not speak to them, because you don't have to. You don't owe that person anything, period. Because at the end of the day, I would rather people protect themselves and protect their safety and their loved ones, and really make smart decisions and go out there and just do the most and just really get themselves hurt or killed. You know what I'm saying? So, I hope you guys got something from this video. This was a lot to take in. This was a lot. I was trying not to make this video like an hour long, but it never fails. I might break this up into 2 parts because it might just be too long, honestly, or 3, however I decide to do it. But I might not make this like one whole coherent video. I might split this into 2, if anything. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys got some information from this. If you did not know about Jeffrey, I hope you know now, and hope you got something from this to just be aware of that there's still evil ass people on this damn planet, and evil has no face. It comes in multiple. So you don't know who's next to you, who's looking out for you, and who's not, and who has your best interests. Make sure you have your best interests, and make sure you're doing everything in your power to stay safe, and that you could be here for the next day. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope that you were able to get something from this. And, I really just want to do another, just in memories of other people that were victims to this. And, I really hope that their souls find peace. I hope that their souls find peace, and that, wherever they are, they can finally get their closure. But that's it for the video. I hope you guys, liked it at least. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for the new subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you guys. You guys are awesome. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.